Hey everybody, Charles from GMAT Ninja here. So this is a little bit of a preview video for week 2 of the 13-week study plan. It's also a little bit of a recap of week 1 in a sense. So what I want to try to do with this is try to give you the best foundation you can to be successful in week 2, maybe help you a little bit with interpreting your week 1 results, and just kind of give you the lay of the land a little bit. One of the real struggles with the study plan, I broke a lot of brain cells, a couple hundred hours trying to design the thing because I think it's really, really tough to come up with something that fits everybody's needs. Did my very, very best with it. Sometimes things are a little bit hard to interpret if we're using all free resources. Obviously, there's always going to be some limitations there. So I want to address a little bit of that stuff today. 3 sections, going to talk about kind of the overall goals for weeks 1 and 2. What are we doing? Why? A little bit of FAQ and cleanup, things that we see on the forum threads that people keep asking about. Want to address a couple of those highlights. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's coming in week 2 and kind of how to think about what material is being covered, what's the content, what sort of metrics are you trying to hit. And as we do more of these videos for each week of the study plan, I'll try to give you some of those metrics. They are always in the text of the study plan as well. But I want to talk about them a little bit, just give you some context and how should you feel if you're not hitting them? How should you feel if you're exceeding them? How might you customize the plan depending on where you are relative to those goals? All right, we'll start with that first part. What are we trying to do here? Like, for a lot of you, I think you start on week 1 and it's like, man, I think I'm bad at rates. I think I'm bad at probability. There's these really nasty multi-source reasoning questions over there. But why are we sitting here just doing algebra and doing reading comp and all this basic stuff? And why are the videos all about your basic approaches? And why are we doing sub 500 level questions? So really the most important thing by far as you start studying for the GMAT, or even if you've been studying for a while and you're just jumping into the study plan after some months of studying, the most important thing, can't emphasize it enough, don't make careless errors. These adaptive tests, they just crush you if you make careless mistakes. If you miss easy questions that are easy for you, you're just going to see more easy questions, and that's when your score goes down the sinkhole. So biggest thing by far that we're trying to address right out of the gate is let's make sure you have consistent, repeatable approaches to everything. When you do reading comprehension, we want to make sure that you're doing it the exact same way every time. You're not over-reading, you're not under-reading. Same idea in critical reasoning. Quant, you're being really systematic so that you don't make those careless mistakes. So one of the things that we see, I've been doing private tutoring for 25 or so years now. We see students all the time, they studied for 600 hours, 2,000 hours. I am not making this up. And they'll say, I don't know why my score is so bad. And we'll say, well, you've probably spent 2,000 hours learning stuff, getting better at stuff, but making careless errors for all 2,000 hours. Please don't let that happen to you because it's really hard to undo later, which is why we emphasize all of this really unsexy stuff early. Get your process right, get really consistent, get comfortable, no careless mistakes, and I promise good things will happen down the road. You don't have to be amazing at math to get a really, really strong quant score. You just need to not make careless errors and be pretty good at everything. Okay. Quant foundations as well. I know, not sexy for some of you. And it's one of those things that I think is really tough in this sort of study plan where we go, well, hey, if you stink at algebra, that underpins everything. And you're going to be in real trouble if that's an issue. If you're not smooth solving linear equations or quadratics, or if your arithmetic is shaky, it's going to cause all kinds of problems for you down the road. For some of you, none of that's a problem. And if that's the case, no big deal. Maybe what you do is you choose some of the harder sets if those options are available in the study plan for the quant. Be honest with yourself. If you're making any sort of careless errors, don't go off of feel, go off of data. For some of you, you might be doing some of the basic algebra and going, oh man, I haven't seen this in years and years. I was never that good at it. And maybe you need to slow down a little bit. And if that's the case, that is okay if you need a little bit more time. We did our best with this to kind of aim for sort of a hypothetical middle ground. I realize it might not be a fit for everybody, but you definitely don't want to move too far through the study plan until those foundations are rock solid. If you're not good with fractions, not good with algebra, it is going to cripple you. It's going to cripple you in business school at times. So make sure you address it if it is an issue. And I know it's not sexy. People want to get to the variety of question types. They're coming. Trust me. Okay, a little bit of FAQ and cleanup. One of the questions we see all the time in the forum threads, want to address it a little bit here. These GMAT club sets where we'll say something like, oh, do a certain number of whatever, let's say algebra questions or exponents questions or whatever, and you can choose mixed difficulty or just easy ones or whatever. When you select those, you're going to get just a list of threads on the forum, a list of questions, and it's going to be a little bit random, and they're going to be from a bunch of different sources. And is that ideal? No, maybe not. But the part that's ideal, it's free and it's pretty much limitless. It's the beauty of GMAT Club. So if you're seeing that and you're like, what is this? Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, guys. If you want to skip the ones that are tagged as GMAT focus tests, you can do that just so you're not seeing questions that you're going to see later on in practice test. And look, interpreting these is going to be imperfect. If you're doing easy questions and you're struggling on them, that's probably a sign that you need to work on something, either your execution, your lack of careless mistakes, or the fundamental concepts. Those mixed difficulty sets, I know, guys, they're really hard to interpret. I say that every week in the interpretation section. Just do your best to really focus on, hey, what did I miss? What was the quality of this mistake? Did I miss an easy one that I really should have had? Did I do something careless? If so, address that right away. Can't emphasize it enough. If you miss something where it's like, well, that was just weird, I've never seen anything like it, maybe there was a typo in it, whatever. Okay, you can blow that off a little bit. So I realize they're not perfect, they're hard to interpret, but they're free and it's wonderful, and they're basically not limitless, but very close to it. So that's why they're in there. Another big question we keep getting, LSAT versus GMAT. And I've said this, it was in the week 1 video, it's all over the study plan. There's links pretty much every week to an article that talks about why I'm such a big proponent of using the LSAT for your GMAT studies. So I'm not going to rehash a ton of that here. The one thing I will say is it gives you beautiful data. Every LSAT section with roughly 25 questions, they're meant to be the same length and they're meant to be the same difficulty within a very narrow range. So let's say that you're getting 8 wrong on one LSAT set and 4 wrong on another and 9 wrong on another and 3 wrong on another. And you go, well, the average is, close to -5. That's pretty good. Yeah, but that variability, that is a sign that you are doing something different. It's not the LSAT. Now that's something that GMAT can't really provide for us because you go into the official guides and the struggle is that some questions are easy, some questions are hard. So if you miss 6 one day and 8 the next, what does it mean? Is that a function of the questions getting a little bit more difficult, or was it you? So the LSAT just gives us really good data. They're harder, they're longer, they're tougher, I know. You can get a few of those LSATs for free on Law Hub. I don't care where you get your LSATs from as long as they're official. Some of the format's a little different. We can go on and on about the imperfections, but it gives you beautiful data. And coming back to my overall goal, I want consistency right now. That's the biggest thing you can do for yourself. Get consistent in your approach to everything. LSAT is going to be this mirror held up that says, are you consistent? No. Okay, then that's a sign you need to look at your process. Look at the setting. Maybe you were tired. Maybe there was a dog barking outside, whatever it might be. But if you see variations in your times or in your accuracy on LSAT, it's a sign you're doing something different. And again, we don't get that data as cleanly off of GMAT. So if your score goals on verbal are modest and you want to stick to the GMAT stuff, all of the newer edition GMAT questions, verbal guide, official guide, those are all going to be baked in the study plan as you move forward. If you wanted to use GMAT early on instead of LSAT, you could use an older edition. Go find the 12th edition official guide or the 2nd edition of the verbal guide. You can do that. They're going to feel easier. They will be easier on average. And you're just not going to get very clean data. You can make that switch. But for those of you who are chasing an elite verbal score, you want to get 80 or above, 90th percentile would be kind of 84-ish. If you want to get into kind of the mid 80s, I strongly recommend using the LSATs. And again, it's going to tell you much more about your consistency. That's why we love it. Not a big deal if you want to swap out for older GMAT instead. But again, those of you chasing elite score, it's really going to be good for you. The transition to GMAT, you'll feel a difference in the question style. That's okay. So that's what I have to say about LSAT versus GMAT. You can customize it as you see fit, but that's why I encourage the LSAT so strongly. All right, time pressure. One other question we're getting over and over, and it's a really good one, and it's a really hard one to answer. When should you introduce time pressure to these sets you're doing? The way we've designed the study plan, at least for now, there's no point where I'm gonna say in the study plan, now is when you should start limiting your time. So I'll take the LSAT as an example. So a 25 question LSAT set, what I say in the interpretation section every week is if you can get those done in under an hour, I'm pretty happy. That's gonna put you in pretty good shape to get the GMAT verbal section done on time. Should you restrict yourself to 60 minutes? When should you do that? Here's my broad thoughts on it. Number one, you don't want to introduce time pressure prematurely. If you do that, you're going to get sloppy. You're going to start rushing, and really verbal, quant, data insights, doesn't matter which section. Sometimes when your brain says go faster, that's when maybe you save yourself 10% of the time, but you're so much more likely to misread that little thing that it hinges on, or miscalculate something, or misread a graph, whatever it might be, and get yourself into huge trouble. Miss those easy questions, and again, that's the apocalypse. So early on, what I want is for you to time everything. You want that data, but I don't want you to restrict yourself until you're totally consistent, until you can say, yeah, every single time my performance on critical reasoning is the same. My performance on reading comp is basically the same. My performance on quant, that's going to vary depending on the topic, that's fine, but you're never making careless errors. When you get to that point, that's when I think you can start introducing time pressure. For a lot of you on verbal, you're never really going to need the time pressure. If you're getting these LSAT sets done, for example, in 50 minutes every single time, and you're doing your GMAT questions in under 2 minutes on average every single time for verbal, you don't ever need to set a countdown timer. You're fine. You can go take a test section, you're going to be totally fine. So bottom line here, don't introduce the time pressure prematurely. If you really feel like it's going to help you to restrict your time, okay, I wouldn't do it this early in the game probably, but when you do it, make sure you don't do it until you see consistency, until those approaches are super consistent. All right, last little bit, just a little preview of what's coming at you in week 2 here. Not sexy topics. We're getting a little deeper into algebra, absolute values, inequalities, that kind of thing. Science passages on reading comp. Maybe you need those, maybe you don't. Strength and weaken questions on critical reasoning. None of this is super sexy. So again, we're warming up gently. All of the different topics, they're all coming over the 13 weeks. But a lot of this, again, if you don't have a problem with science passages, that's why we list some of that stuff as optional. You don't need to go drill a lot of them just for the sake of it. If that's not a weakness for you, yeah, customize, skip it. Spend extra time on the quant. Spend extra time doing mixed sets of reading comp, critical reasoning, whatever you need if that's not a particular issue for you. Strength and weaken questions. The reason I put those in there this early is just because they're kind of the most sort of basic, fundamental. Find a conclusion, find the evidence, strengthen it, weaken it. A lot of you don't need a lot of help on those, and that's fine, but it might help you a little bit if you're struggling overall with process. It might help a little bit to take a look at those videos in there. But again, if algebra is a weakness for you and you need to take a little bit longer, week 2, to get stronger at it, on your own time, go for it. If it's a real strength for you and you're not making careless errors, feel free to move on. Again, I know this isn't going to fit everybody perfectly. Metrics, things to shoot for. Again, you see this all over the study plan. Long run goal, if you're doing those LSAT sets for critical reasoning and reading comp, long run goal, biggest one is consistency. If you're shooting for something like 90th percentile on verbal, which I know is a pretty lofty goal for a lot of you, then if you can get to 80% in 60 minutes or less, I'm really happy. Not necessarily in week 2. It's really early. Cut yourself some slack. This is a long run goal. If you want 90th percentile, you can lower that goal if you don't need 90th percentile. But most importantly here, are you seeing progress? Are you seeing consistency? The questions you miss, are you at least not missing ones that you know you can handle? Like, I don't want to see careless errors here either. So look for consistency, long run goal. Don't get too hung up on it. If you're already there and your goal is 90th percentile and you don't have any reason to go higher, yeah, if you want to back off this homework a little bit, that's fine. So very, very broad goal, but for a lot of people, it just takes time to get there. It can take a lot of time to improve on verbal. That's why we hit it so hard up front in the study plan. So if you're not there yet, cut yourself some slack. Quant, I just have one number at this stage, 0%. 0% careless errors, please. I know I'm a broken record, but I can't say it enough. It's the most important thing ever. All right, that's it. Have fun studying, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. I don't know if we're going to do these for all 13 weeks, but if you did like it, let us know in the comments and we'll keep pumping these out. All right, thanks everybody.